Have you ever been playing a game and said, hey, I'm just going to do one more level. Next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and you're exhausted and you don't know what you're going to do because you got to wake up in a few hours for school or work. Or maybe on the flip side, you just can't finish this game and your friends think it's the best thing since sliced bread, but you just can't find a way to go through another level. Sometimes games are just a plain pain and other times they're a joy to continue. Most of us don't even ask why. We don't even think about it. We just know that it's there. What if I told you that developers and publishers have been trying to manipulate the way games are designed to get us to stick around for a little bit longer? And there's ways that we can fight back. But what this video is really about is helping gamers identify what makes games good, what they enjoy in them, and help them find better games for them to play. Welcome back to Ritter Gaming, I'm Wes, and today we're talking about why some short games feel really long and why some long games feel really short. And also why some of these games are super immersive and incredibly detailed worlds just are bland and hard to play, while some of these really nondescript games with not a lot of detail are super fun and we can just play them all the time. But first, do me a favor, tell me down in the comments below what game is stolen the most sleep from you and why. And as always, if you're enjoying these videos, hit like, maybe hit subscribe. It really helps me know that you're liking them and also lets the YouTube algorithm know to push these videos to other people so we can continue making the gaming community a better place one video at a time. I appreciate that. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, you can reach me at Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch. And I stream every Wednesday and Friday from 9 to 11 p.m. Wow, that was a lot of talking. Okay, let's get into the video because that's what I'm actually excited to talk about today, is why some of these games feel super long or super short and what makes these games really click. This video started because of a game that I thought I was going to love. It's super detailed and there's a lot of things about it that I really actually do love, but overall I dislike the game. The Division 2 has really fallen flat, and although developers are working hard to salvage it, it's just not at a place where I thought it would be. Hey, I'm going to give you my hot take. Games don't need amazing graphics to be awesome. That's just icing on the cake. They don't need the best author in the world to write their story. They need to have good mechanics, good gameplay for it to be a good game. So let's get into what that is and why some of these games just fall flat on the basics. The Division 2 is a beautiful, immersive world, and it's got incredible visuals, great story, wonderful details everywhere, and an absolute insane amount of nuance, except in the gameplay, and it falls dreadfully flat and lifeless. The Division 2 is a long, and I mean long game, and you can obviously spend hundreds of hours in this game. It's designed to be that way. I took my time and my agent was level 40 very quickly, maybe a couple dozen hours. The story was good for that portion of it, but then I hit a brick wall, and I was grinding content for no good reason because I wasn't at the end game, and I couldn't play it because I didn't have the right gear. And this is probably one of the worst models I've ever seen for a game. I mean, the Division 2 has all these wonderful details, all this great story, but the action of the game is just off. It feels like it's been artificially elongated by the developer Massive and Ubisoft, the publisher, to serve as a live service model. And we'll get more into that later. And I do have to say, the Division 2 is not alone. Its fellow looter shooter Destiny 2 is implementing a sunset system for its games. They're basing this off of Magic the Gathering, which is a card game that's been around for decades. And players are furious. Both the Division and Destiny 2 suffer from artificially extended play cycles between the max level, or where they're sitting at, because Destiny doesn't really have levels, and in-game content. Looter shooters and looter games in general thrive off their loot systems, and both of these games, I can attest from personal experience in them, do not steadily increase the player's gear or light level from each mission or action, but require a grind to get the proper gear to be able to get to in-game content. Now, juxtapose this with World of Warcraft at the height of its tenure, and you're running max level dungeons, and it sets you up with new gear. And then you start running heroic dungeons, 10-person raids, and then 25-person raids, and then heroic 10 raids, and heroic 25 raids, and now you have mythic raids. It's all progressive, and that's how you get the gear for the next level. Instead of having to go through and run those dungeons that you ran as a level whatever over and over again. Does that make sense to run these dungeons that aren't max level over and over again for a random number generated loot drop? No, it doesn't make sense. Now, I will say the one saving grace of a live service model is that players expect for games to get fixed if they're jacked up at launch. The counter to this is that players expect for all the games to be jacked at launch. I mean, look at Anthem, and that thing got abandoned. That is probably the second worst game launch I've ever seen in my life. Now, the live service model and its little brother, season passes, are another system of boring gameplay design and artificially lengthening the games. Now, I get it, for some multiplayer games, this works. For Call of Duty, for Battle Royales, you're playing the same map anyway. You need something to grind for to keep a lot of players engaged. Yes, your best players will continue to play this over and over again because they're good at it, but they need cannon fodder to go shoot. So how do you get these people that aren't good at the game to continue playing it? You give them something to grind for, something to unlock, and that's where the season passes are. Throw in that season passes are rarely free, and the best unlocks are usually about 35 hours of committed gameplay from your above average player, or you're having to spend a couple $100 as an average or lesser player to unlock this stuff. Now we've got a bunch of content behind a paywall and a huge time sink. Single player games also suffer from artificial fatigue when the mechanics of the game are dull, they're repetitive, and they're just not balanced with the gameplay. There's no reason to use the entire wide range of your skills. Then you do the same skill over and over again, and it makes the game really boring. Now, take The Last of Us 2. By all accounts, a critically acclaimed game with a little bit different story. It falls flat on the game mechanics because when you play it, you pretty much default to silently knifing enemies to get through the map unscathed. Yes, you have a wide range of skills and you can do a lot of things, but if you go loud, bad things happen. So there's no risk of breaking or losing your knife, and everybody just walks around silently knifing the enemy. It's boring, it's tedious, and it takes a long time. I mean, even Splinter Cell and the Hitman series knew better than to do this, and they had varied gameplay. So what makes a single player game actually kind of good? It revolves around a couple of mechanics, bugs, or really lack thereof, and story. I mean, if you look at Halo, GoldenEye, Mario, Zelda, all of these are amazing games that took risk by introducing new mechanics or adapting previous ones and making a unique product. Not all games will take this risk, but not all games go out and try and be the best thing on the market. But what about, say, Cuphead? All you do is jump around and finger shoot. No, the game actually introduces new mechanics and new ways to interact with the level every single time. And A Plague Tale. Well, no, the game continues to evolve and introduce new mechanics once again, distracting the guards, hiding, defeating the rats, protecting Amicia and Hugo. There's always something to do within the game to learn. I mean, even if you go back to the N64, Star Fox 64, which didn't have a ton of computing power to work with, managed to vary its gameplay significantly between all the different missions and difficulty to make the game fun and interesting.
Andros has ordered us to take you down.
Now, come into today, and you've got games like Animal Crossing New Horizons that can thrive with severe limitations, and yes, I mean it, Animal Crossing's New Horizons has severe limitations with its game design. The way the mechanics are implemented makes it a fun and interactive game, and it gives control to the player. How does this address how long games feel? Well, a dull, repetitive action or gameplay really doesn't engage the gamer and can make any story feel like a slog, and you're not really making any progress. A game that's riddled with bugs is, despite any amazing graphics or story, it's a chore to complete, and most people just turn it off because it's so bad. And a lack of innovative mechanics and uniqueness will make any game blend into the vast catalog that gamers already have, whether that's a Steam game library or just the bookshelf behind them. And this is why the season passes and live service models have come about. By comparison, a game that continues to provide something, anything to do that's different, a challenge or a goal, can suck a player in. I mean, Animal Crossing still has achievements to try and get gamers to continue to do something. They will find a plethora of activities to do, and that's really just what the developers thought about. But why Animal Crossing is thriving is within days of the game being released, you had people on Twitch going through and hosting talk shows to replace Late Night and Conan. You had mazes and races and just fan-made content all over the place. And it's just bringing people in because they can interact and be together. And yes, I get it, a little bit of the quarantine helped this, but this was a really well-designed game for social interaction and people being able to create their own content. By allowing players that freedom and, for lack of a better word, a canvas to work within, Animal Crossing has made itself a phenomenon for 2020. So now we've identified the problem. And the problem is that game mechanics are boring, they're repetitive, or there's no innovation. We've done the same thing over and over again, and we're just getting fed the same game repeatedly. Well, is there a way to fix this? Yeah, actually there is, and it's been around for a while, and I'm really surprised that it hasn't been repeated more often, which would kind of defeat the purpose. The answer is unique mechanics, free-flowing action, appropriate challenges, and the ability to choose. I know it sounds complicated, and well, if you try and put it all in there, that's probably an impossible task. But there are plenty of games that have implemented a lot of solutions or partial solutions, and they've succeeded. Taking a look at the top 2 games of the last decade, you have Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto 5. These 2 games pretty much speak for themselves. There's no surprises on that. They haven't gotten any updates to the graphics, no new releases on their IPs, nothing like that. They're just well-designed games that give players the ability to do stuff for themselves. They create their own content. There's no limitations really within these 2 products. Yes, the games are very simple at first, and it draws players in, it lets them get familiar with the world, and let them know what they can do. And then it really gets into their depth, and the games are so deep. There's no way I can put it into this video on just how much depth and variation and creativity that can go into both Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto 5. And yes, those 2 games might not be your style of game, but that is a core mechanic of what allows a game to be really a long-lasting presence in the market. It has to have the ability for the player to make decisions. Okay, so first-person shooters might be your jam. Escape from Tarkov is probably going to be a game that you've heard of, tried, and maybe or maybe not like. Why is a Russian-made hardcore shooter one of the best first-person shooters out there right now? Well, it challenges players' knowledge, their patience, and really their savviness. It takes a battle royale, an MMO, and a shooter looter. It blends them all together, and then it takes most of the best qualities of each and discards the rest. Add in a little Russian seasoning, and you've got a unique, slightly addictive game on your hands. No, really, this game can be addicting because it's incredibly punishing for failure, but the joy of success is simply heightened by these blows. And I mean that. Like, there's a true sense of euphoria when you're able to go through and complete the objectives or upgrade the hideout or do something within this game. It's really like, I've worked hard to do this, and you have a sense of pride and accomplishment. Sorry, EA, not your game. Another game that we can keep an eye on that's trying to copy this model is GTFO. It's an alpha right now on Steam, and I've played it with a couple friends. It's really fun, requires a lot of teamwork, and yeah, it's hard. I enjoy it. Let's see how it goes. And any list about games with great mechanics, pacing, and storyline would be incomplete without Titanfall 2. The recent addition to Steam came out sandwiched between Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and Battlefield 1. And that was quickly forgotten by EA. The fan base never climbed to where most fans thought it should. And I mean, this is the unique movement model that Apex Legends was developed for. Its simple, balanced weapons, incredibly powerful walking mech suits are just the start of the game that understood shooting through the campaign would be boring and interjected a bunch of different mechanics throughout to force players to learn and adapt. This is still my favorite single-player campaign. Yes, I enjoy this game better than I enjoy the Halo campaigns by far and away. Not only that, but its multiplayer is very dynamic, very quick-paced, but you have to understand how the movement models work, how the shooting works, and how all the different balances are. It is both a very simple and complex game at the same time, and it was designed beautifully with a wonderful story in the single player, and I cannot talk enough good about this. If you want to see more, I've got another video linked up in the cards and down below. But if we know the answer, why don't we get more good games? Well, what's the incentive for the publishers and the studios? 10 of the top 15 games for the past decade have been Call of Duty rehashes. Why are they going to do anything else if they keep grossing top sales? And then you have Madden and FIFA, and every year it just keeps selling more and more, and they have microtransactions within these games. It's absolutely insane how much money is spent in these same products year after year after year. Why are they going to branch out and do something different if the consumers continue buying this? And then for every one studio that does really well with a new IP, Battlestate Games with Escape from Tarkov or PUBG, you really don't hear about all the failures out there that have tried their hand at introducing a new mechanic and just fallen flat. So on the other hand, what can we as gamers do to help increase the variation in games? Well, don't buy the crappy games. If you don't appreciate the game, don't buy it. Don't worry about if Joe Schmo down the road is the best Call of Duty player in the world. If you don't enjoy that game, don't buy it. Second, and probably the hardest way to do this, is go and be vocal about what you do and don't like. Now, I'm not saying go on online forums and whine, because every game has whiners, but not every game has constructive criticism that points the developers towards things that are fun. You have to understand that every single time that they get, I don't like this game because it sucks, they just discard it. If I took every single comment that said, your videos suck, you should stop, to heart, I wouldn't have this channel. But what I did do was I listened to every comment that said, hey, your audio needs to fix this way. Your video needs to fix this way. Those helped me become a better YouTuber and a better streamer. The most notable cases of this working are really Star Wars Battlefront 2 and the original Division game. Both games went from terrible catastrophes to wonderful games that were loved by their player base. And really last and the easiest way to make sure as gamers we do this is just play games that you enjoy. Don't worry about your favorite YouTuber or your favorite streamer or your buddy down the street. We're all different and we all enjoy different games. Dare to branch out, find new games with interesting mechanics, games that took a leap of faith to try something new. We might hate it, we might love it, but at least we won't be bored. I mean, if you've never played Subnautica, go try that. If you never tried Civ, go try Civ 6. It's all out there, it's all something new and different, and there's a lot of good stuff out there. As always, I enjoy making these videos, hanging out, and making the gaming community a better place. If you do that too, really, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps make this channel a little bit better every time that happens. Additionally, I am doing an Extra Life drive for charity. You can find that link down in the description, or you can go to Twitch, and I have that under the charity panel. This is for sick kids in the hospital through the Children's Miracle Network Foundation. Please consider donating to make their stay in the hospital a little bit better and hopefully get them well so they can get out. If you think I've missed something though, hit me up in the comments. If I've got the wrong information, let me know. I'll do a change. I'm not afraid to say that I'm wrong about something. I'm not all knowing. It's the internet. Somebody's probably going to find something I'm wrong about. Go for it. Anyway, this is Wes from Ritter Gaming. Grab those controllers, game on, and I'll see you next time.
Dude, awesome, dude, James, thank you so much for another sub. A tier 2 sub at that. That's awesome.
We've been in everything.
Dude, spam the new emote.
One's in 129. 129
So
is the one
that's the actual stream right there. He just got the that emote. Yep, that's the dino emote.